All right, it's 20 till 8 p.m. on February 19th, Sunday evening, and I want to look at Friday's trade, do a bit of a review of the action or lack thereof, see if we can learn anything from it, um, sharpen my skills. So, just kind of a rundown of what happened. We initially and then began with 80% rule in effect to the upside. So we had begun outside of the value area on the downside and traded into it, opened up a new TPO, and didn't trade back outside of it in the B period. Um, in the initial balance, we made a poor high, and it a little bit later we made a good high against this upper distribution in the overnight, but it didn't continue any higher. So we didn't get any range extension to the upside or the downside for quite some time, a couple of hours, 3-4 hours. I think something of note that when C period took out, well, it almost took out the value area low here, but something of note, it did not leave a reversal pattern, and I made note of that, that we may come back through there later on, particularly since we hadn't taken out the overnight high, but more importantly, we had not taken out the overnight low or the prior day's low, and the overnight low in and of itself was a poor low, and then it was exponentially a poor low, matched with the low from Thursday. So the fact that we didn't take that out in the next rundown in D period, it became pretty clear that we were either going to continue to rotate and build this out or come back um, through the initial balance to the upside, which is what happened. Of course, we can't see that at this time. So this is kind of complicated. I'm going to try to do my best to work this out as far as how to take advantage of this, and some of the information that was key. Now I want to point out that these white lines right here I didn't put on till later in the day. So these white lines basically bracket this congestion, and I base that off of this 10-minute chart. So you can see we had basically a trading range in here that was tradable if you dared to do it. I mean, it was hard to possibly to buy this D low because, first of all, we'd coming back. We'd been one time. We at this point started one time framing down. We'd come out of the value area low again. Now the tempo was very slow, and we had such a small range. But another important thing is that it matched the open, so it didn't go through it, but it did match the open. It didn't stop above it, about right in here at 38, 39-ish, I guess. Well, I'll just draw it. I hope this video helps somebody, and I hope it helps me first and foremost. Okay, so 78.6 retracement, 38.50, we cleared it, and then we also came through the open, not quite through it, but we matched it. So that shows some weakness possibly, and it was just hard to buy that because now look, the D range. I'll make this a lot bigger. The range of the D period was a little bit bigger than the range of B or C. Not quite the range of A, but it was, it liquidated. It looked like it might come down further, so it's kind of hard to buy this. Wouldn't have recommended it per se until we got back into the value area. Excuse me. You'd have to use some kind of other system besides, just taking a shot here. You could have done just take a shot and risk the low, but value was lower at this point. Was overlapping to lower. Let's split it out here. All right, it was overlapping. Okay, so it was overlapping, but it was in the lower half of value, below the POC from the prior day, and we had a fairly normal distribution the day on Thursday. So this was kind of hard to buy it, and for those reasons. And another one that's not insignificant is that this was an open test and drive. So the way the day opened, it ticked down a couple couple ticks and on to the upside. Of course, then it quickly corrected all that. Well, quickly, about the next hour and a half. Another thing to look at is in this volume, we had a P shape. So the majority of volume was up here. The VPOC was up here. Of course, the POC was up here, but I wasn't giving a lot of weight to that yet. But the VPOC was up here. So hard to short it and hard to buy it. You had the positives going to the upside that we were open, test, and drive, and then the negatives that we started one time frame down, we're outside of value again, blah blah blah. So it's better in this case, unless you're, you know how to handle it, being wrong or knowing if you're right very quickly, that to wait for maybe another period, which is I believe what I did. But at any rate, so this is what was going on. And another thing to keep in mind is the internals were bearish from the open. So the majority of the ticks on the New York Stock Exchange were to the downside all morning and pretty much all day till the very, very end. All right, so now we move on, and it gets a little more interesting because again we've got let's see, from 43.25 down to 37.25. So we have a 5-point range. That's dismal. Very, very small activity. Hard to really discern which way the market's going to go. It's a Friday. All these things. So it was tough to trade this. Of course, it's always tough to trade. We just have to get better, right? Okay, so merging this together. Now, we had, again, something to keep in note. We had the open, test, and drive. It retraced. But we left this ABC up here. I like that for follow through, back through it, okay? And F came up, didn't take it out, traded back down again. So we had another little retracement here. G was a balancing period. But one thing we could have looked at on this is a 30-minute bar chart. So this represents A, B, C, D, okay? You could probably call this some kind of candlestick that might, I mean, it definitely reflects some indecision here. It's not quite a doji, but it looks like it. But this could have been a clue to maybe be looking long because our stochastics were starting to get, whoops. Our stochastics were starting to get to the overbought territory. Now, they didn't get in there till E period, just a little bit, and then there was a crossover in F. At this point, not just going on this indicator, but this is sort of telling you kind of where we are in the trading cycle on a rotational day, that it's likely to rotate at least back up and test the highs, and that's what happened. So I try to keep a 30-minute bar over here to keep an eye on it. All right, so really the trade, when we came in E period, we came back into we opened at 39.25 in E, traded back up into the value area low and into the volume value area low. So the gray bar, or the gray line at 40.25 and is the volume value area low. You can see against this, the gray is the volume value area and the green is the TPO value area. So we traded back in and opened up inside the volume and the value area low. So now we've got the 80% rule to the upside. Okay, I was starting to like this to the long side because now the 80% rule is in effect. However, we hadn't initially, the E period didn't take out the D high. It was an inside bar. So you could look at this as a breakout of this balance in E. Okay, you could have taken that in that regard. It's better to get long down here. You could have also bought the midpoint in E against the value area low or this value area low. And I think I had done that, but I certainly didn't carry it. I didn't take it all the way up because this was, again, this was inside the initial balance, inside value, inside range. It's not really moving. And it's hard to kind of hold on those for hours and hours. But, excuse me. Then G period balanced again. It was just an inside bar. H didn't take out the high of G, but took out the low of G. but couldn't take out the value area low here, the volume value area low. Okay, would you buy that again and go up? I guess you could have. I don't think that was my trade, but because I've been waiting already 2.5 hours to maybe get an 80% rule. Once F had cleared the DE highs here, we'd stopped one-time framing, even though this was no way like a trending one-time framing. It just had the semblance of it, really. But value is a little bit lower, or even. You don't want to, at least I don't want to try to get 3, 4, 5 points out of this. The ranges aren't even that big, so I'm just trying to get a point or two, if that, point and a half. But as you can see, in H, I, J, we're building value up here now. Now the POC is a lot wider. The VPOC has remained up here inside of the volume value area and the value area, the TPO value area. And we've got this high against this upper distribution. Remember, it looks like we're over to the downside. It really does, because we couldn't take out these two lows, couldn't take out the early morning low, E couldn't take out the D low, swing low. We're getting higher lows and higher highs. So the best play is going to be to the upside until further information comes in. So what we really wanted to do, if we weren't going to try to continue to sell it rotationally, and I wouldn't have liked that, because again, the A, B, C here and the F high, these are all matched. You could have probably tried to sell it, but again, we're starting now to possibly one-time frame up. When these ranges are tightening up like this, it's either going to remain totally dead all day, or it's going to break out. And I got the sense, just the way some of the price action was, we were getting a little bit of a short squeeze, which is what happened. So when J broke out, we got range extension. Whenever I get range extension, I'm looking for continuation. And when K opened here, now I can't remember if K was open and drive. I think it might have been. But L period was an excellent place to get long, again, because the K period was weak high. Now, at this point, the 80% rule to the upside was totally fulfilled. So anyone buying the 80% rule and hung in there could have gotten 3, 4 points. I think I got 2.75 on one of these. So L, though, this is important. The JK above the IB high here marks a double distribution. So this was not closed. This becomes, let's see, I should probably move up the horizontal line thing. This becomes support. And, very important, this area right here, the Asian overnight, Asian market, this is an upper distribution in the overnight. This is a balanced area. Okay, so you have two distributions in the overnight, down here and down here. So we rejected this balance, and we started to trade into this balance. And the natural destination is going to be up here somewhere, which it got up there in L. Okay, came to the value area high, to the tick. Of course, once L made a poor high, you could have anticipated, and it was also a loaded high. You could have anticipated taking this. I don't know how long you would have had to stay in it before, when you got in there in L and then M opened. I don't remember, but you could have had your stop back in here, or the L low, or underneath this pivot point, and M just went on and on and on, and we ended with the spike. So I just really think this is there's some good understanding in here to pay attention to, based on just the way the price action was. Another thing is, I look at this. I used to have these on my profile chart, but they don't draw really well because it's a TPO chart. I have these moving averages, and once we've gotten closed above this and above the yellow one, the balance of power has changed to the bulls. So we are now getting, this line is flat. It's not pointed down, so it's going to take a while to turn it back around. It's flat, maybe even starting to tilt up a little bit. These are 30-minute bars. When we closed up here, at most we might have gotten a retracement down here, and at this point I've got a trend line got the moving average, and stochastics are pointing up. I'm not paying attention to the MACD. It's not a trend day, but it is coming up, and there we go. So it's moving up. So there were some points at the end of the day here, in the last hour, to be made. But you had to wait there all day on a Friday for this, and by this time you might have been chopped up. It's tough to it's tough. There's so many things at play here. It looks great in hindsight, of course. That's the way trading is. It always looks great. You look back on it, but in the middle of it, you're dealing with your impatience or frustration, or you've already gotten beat up a little bit, one or the other, or all of the above. Now, another thing I'm gonna move this out of the way. I want to look at. I'm a big fan of doing this. It's early morning trade. Okay, you can see this divot in the overnight. Now, other than some forays, now first it bounced out of here, and what it was doing, and this is probably important to talk about. I also knew, by the way, when I got long up in here, I was looking for stops to be taken out above all these highs. They had stops, and that's what happened. You get a little pop, maybe dink around a little bit, get another little push and a little pop. But it was clear from the price action that there was a short squeeze going on, and sure enough, that's the way it behaved all the way into the end of the day, where we ended up kind of closing out right around this this POC. Now, this POC is a combination of it's a composite of an overnight session and like it's a 24-hour session here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to merge all these together. Wait a minute. I can get rid of my little line here. Let me do that. All right. Okay. Now, I've shown this balance before, this composite, and you can see that. Well, actually, let me move one more in because you'll see something cool with the value area, I think. Okay. This value area high from this composite, you can see coincided with early on. Now, let me move this out here. Might have to do it a little differently, or maybe it's a different period. Anyway, you can see this value was building right around this value area high, this POC of all this combined, and this profile, it's kind of erratic, got a lot of little distributions in here, so it's not really built out, but you can see kind of where this what I'm calling the profile Pangea. Okay, that's my term. Came up with that last week. Profile, it's a concept I've been working with a while, but I kind of came up with the name for it finally in the video on Friday. The market profile Pangea. So you've got this kind of would fit into this little area roughly. Okay, sort of repairing it. I don't like that word repair for things, but it's exploring prices and two-sided trade is taking place. I'm gonna move this together and let's see what the profile looks like now. Okay, it's starting to get more of a rounded look to it. So we could probably, we may get range extension. What I mean by the trading range here, the overnight, it looks like it's wanting to trade higher. We'll see where it goes to the overnight. It may range on up, depends on news, all those things. But I could see it trading in a very tight range right in here. More likely, one moment, let me split this back out. Okay, right within the spike here, spike base is where the T low is here at 46, I think. Let's see. So I don't know. I could see it really kind of just trading around in this area, maybe down to 43 quarter, 43, where it's all there's like a ledge here, ABC, FIJ. But it does look like it's wanting to trade higher, so I don't know. It could trade up above MN, and then sort of like start to. There's this slope right here. Maybe just start to trade around in there. I don't know. It's fun predicting that. It's kind of useful in some ways of just skill building, but it's there's no way of telling what it's really going to do, of course. So, all right. Well, that's Friday. Hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe got something out of it, tip, technique, or understanding, and it's good for me because it's like, you know, just like game videos. You know, you go back and watch the game and talk about your plays and things like that. You just you get better and better and analyzing. So it's part of my business plan. All right, it's coming into tomorrow. I'll try to do a pre-market video tomorrow, but we've got a poor high and a spike. You know, we'll see what happens and where we open up. I'd say above the spike and above value of Thursday, things remain positive. Anything below the spike and maybe below value of Thursday. I'm saying Thursday and not Friday because I'm going to leave these lines on here for now. Maybe I'll change it in the morning. But you know, the value area, really not much had changed. Not much had changed, but there was a change at the end of the day to the upside. So we'll see if we can hold that, if we're going to continue higher, or we're going to rotate back down and start to form a trading range, which I can see that happening too. So we've got an inside day within an inside day, and we may get another inside day. You know, we may start to form like a little triangle up here, and then the more that goes on, the more likely we're going to see a major move one way or the other, which I would think, but everything's based on politics now and not necessarily financial data per se. And I would say that it would seem likely that we get some kind of retracement because this is a lot of thin volume in here, a lot of bad structure. The market's going to want to come down. If you look at these moving averages, when they get this flanged out like this, we tend to see them kind of come down and find support on one of them at some point. But anyway, again, I'm just kind of talking scenarios, what might happen. All right, well, hope you get a good rest. I'm going to try to and get up early and maybe let things shake out tomorrow. It's a Monday. No, tomorrow's Monday. It's a holiday. Okay, so there's a holiday tomorrow. So overnight trade might be kind of light. President's Day. All right, so it's kind of the day off in a sense. So, all right, I'm kind of thrilled about that for the moment because there's a lot of things I didn't get done this weekend, but I needed to get done. All right, well, have a great evening. Thanks.